Welcome everyone to Mailed Fuzz News. I am Peter, that is Tara, and this is your Thursday edition. There was no news yesterday because there was nothing really big enough to justify a news show. But we're here today and we got a couple of things that are juicy, and then a little movie tidbits and a couple of TV things. So that is what we're going to do today. And it is just fortuitous that on the day that Tara happens to be here for the news, that the biggest thing to talk about is actually new Mystery Science Theater 3000 content.
What?
There's a new Kickstarter.
That's my favorite show of all time.
They're kickstartering season 13. Obviously 11 and 12 were on Netflix, but Netflix. 11 was kickstarted, but then Netflix kind of came in and co-funded, and it became a Netflix thing. And they did a sort of then a mini season 12, and now they're kickstarting for season 13. But there's more to it than that. So much like the last Kickstarter, if they hit, I think it's $2 million, they'll do 3 episodes, but then there's like stretch goals all the way up to, I think, 5.5 million equals 12 or 13 new episodes, which would be like a full whack. Last time they did hit the full amount. Hopefully they do this time, because I'm all for another full season. But they're also tying to it something called the Gizmoplex, which they're claiming is a new service which will allow people to essentially do watch parties of Mystery Science Theater episodes. They'll host live events once a month on it. And this is also presumably where the new episodes are going to go, almost like a streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the case. Whether or not old episodes get put on there as well, I'm not sure. But that seems to... So what are your thoughts and feelings on it? Just the idea of more Mystery Science Theater.
I mean, I feel about the same as I did with the other Netflix seasons, which was I'm excited that more people will become fans. I'm excited for fans who want more. But honestly, like, I've been really satisfied with riff tracks that I don't really need more Mystery Science Theater. But not to say that I'm like opposed to it. Like, I went and saw them do a live show when they went on tour, and that was really fun. And I hope that I'm always happy for more of a thing that I love. So yeah, they do the Turkey Day marathons on YouTube, which are basically like an all-day marathon with sketches and people hosting and stuff for the YouTube show. So I wonder if their like streaming service will be kind of like that, where they do provide like unique content for the Turkey Day stream.
I just know it'll be behind this paywall, because we don't know how much it'll cost yet on its own. Because some of the perks, because I was looking down some of the reward tiers that you can take, and like the $35 tier, for example, has 3 months of the Gizmoplex included, and then it's more up to, and then the $100 tier has like a whole year of it. But so clearly this is going to be something that costs money. Like, this is going to be $5 or $8 or $10 a month or whatever it's going to end up being to have access to this, which will get you the episodes presumably, but also a live event once a month and watch party abilities with up to 10 people, they said. They said that if you want to bring in people who don't have the service, you can get them a day pass for $1, which isn't terrible, I guess. So it's a bit of a weird thing. I mean, one of the key things they said here, though, I read through some of the text in the Kickstarter, is that the idea of this is to essentially be able to do this without relying on something like Netflix, where Netflix ultimately just decide, even though it did okay for them, they decided not to renew it, so there was just no more. The idea behind this is that it, in theory, can just indefinitely go forever now. Whether that means that after they've got all this set up, will there be more Kickstarters for another season, or will it just be a case of, oh, we're making X amount off these subscriptions now that we can just keep making episodes? I don't know. But it's interesting.
Honestly, I don't really understand exactly what the streaming service thing is. Like watch parties and stuff. What does that mean?
Well, we've done this just without a service. You know, we've watched things together where we sync it up and just press play at the same time, right?
Oh, okay.
This basically just has a built-in thing where instead of you having to click play at the same time, as I would just click play and it'll play for you because you're also on the service. Amazon has this as a a feature now on their Prime.
Interesting. Okay.
I think Disney might have it now too. So that's an interesting idea. So it's sort of encouraging people watching together, in different locations.
Yeah, the show's always been better if you watch it with friends or with family or with other people.
Yeah, and you know, we've watched a bunch of episodes together, the classic stuff. So clearly that holds true. And there was a little note at the end of the introduction section where Joel said, you know what, at the end of the pandemic, not everyone's obviously in the place where they can donate to a Kickstarter. So don't worry if you can't. That's cool. Support us in other ways, and we'll make sure everyone can somehow get access easy enough, you know, when everything's ready. So it doesn't sound like they want to gatekeep everything too much. I don't think this is meant to be like a huge.
Yeah, well, Mystery Science Theater sort of has that sort of background of like wanting people to share. Like there's always been like this thing at the end of the credits where it's like, you know, share the tapes, like record the show and share it with your friends. And it's never been about this sort of, like you said, like gatekeeping.
Yeah.
But it is pretty cool that, you know, Joel is still very much a part of all of this. Like you kind of have the original creator giving the, you know, he has sort of passed the baton on to this new group of younger people who are doing it, but he's also very much in support and still trying to get things off the ground for them.
Yeah, he still seems to be running it.
He adds the credibility to the older fans.
Yeah, he still seems to be running it, even if he's not the one who's creatively like in front of the camera, or I don't know if he still writes some of the material or if he's just like hands off with the actual creative side of it, but
I don't know. Like those new episodes had like 20 different writers, and they were all names that you know. Like a lot of comedians, just fans of the show, like wanted to help write an episode.
Yeah, and it looks like, you know, this will bring back the most of the cast of the newer version. It'll still be Jonah, Patton Oswalt, and
Felicia Day.
Felicia Day will still be there, by the looks of it. Although Jonah, he's lost weight, I think. I seem to remember him looking chunkier in Netflix. So
Maybe
the image he's got here on the Kickstarter, he must have lost weight between seasons. But
I hope he didn't do keto. Gross.
I never got around to watching all the Netflix episodes. I really like the ones I watched though, for the most part. Like out of the
I mean, it's different for me. It's different. Like I'm such a super fan, so like watching the new ones, but that's not Tom Servo's voice, and I don't like being that kind of fan. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm happy that there's new episodes and there's new fans coming in who are finding the show, and people have a different sense of humor. Like a lot of those older episodes, like, you know, a lot of the jokes, they don't land anymore.
Sure.
But, you know, when you get ones that do land, it's like, I don't know. That's what you remember.
Well, that was the thing. I'd seen, you know, a reasonable amount of old episodes, even at the time. Because obviously since then, I've watched a bunch more with you that you wanted to recommend. But I, at the time, had seen enough of the old episodes that when I watched some of the new episodes on Netflix, whenever they'd reference something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'd be like, that feels weird. Like, Mystery Science Theater's not meant to reference things.
It's from the 90s. They don't know about that yet.
It was odd, but yeah, so.
Right.
But hey, it's cool. I'm happy. I mean, at the very least, they're going to hit the first goal, because it's already at, let me just check what the dollar amount is. So the first goal is 2 million, and it's at 1.6 million right now, and it's only been running for about, I don't know, 12 hours at the time of recording, something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, I suspect, I mean, there's so many of us super fans out there, and if I can, maybe I'll contribute even. It's kind of a hard time for me, so probably not, but and like I said, like I feel completely satisfied when I get a new riff tracks, and those have always been consistent as well, and I don't know, like, this is not something that I'm super excited about, but I'm happy for people that it's happening.
I might chip in, because I enjoyed the new episodes and I want more of it, but I also haven't even touched the riff tracks yet. I've never listened to a riff tracks, even though technically it's just the same thing.
Just go on Amazon and watch Samurai Cop already.
With the riff tracks. I'll do it when I'm in the mood. You said it yourself.
In fact, all of you out there, do that.
You said it yourself, it's better with other people, okay? So that turns me away from just putting it on at 3 a.m, even though maybe that's the best time for such a thing.
It's better, but it's still funny.
Okay. So that is Mr. Science Theater back. So jumping over to some movie news. I'll come back to some more TV stuff at the very end, because Mr. Science Theater is kind of half movie, half TV, I suppose.
That's why it's the best TV show. You watch a movie.
So, are you a big fan of Ancient Aliens?
I've never seen it. I've only seen the GIF.
Yes, I've seen the dude who's like, aliens. My other favorite one of him though is a second GIF that I might even like more, where he just sort of, because he's got the big crazy hair. He's almost got the Londo hair from Babylon 5, except that it's just sort of a natural, unkempt sort of thing. But he there's another GIF of him where he's sitting in the same room, he's got the same outfit on, and he just kind of goes, "Is such a thing even possible? Yes, it is." He just. Anyway, Ancient Aliens. There's going to be a movie. Legendary is developing an Ancient Aliens movie.
Wasn't that Indiana Jones 4?
One of the showrunners from Cobra Kai, Josh Held, is going to direct the feature film adaptation of the History Channel's hit series Ancient Aliens. Blah 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 blah.
I mean, people love that show. I haven't seen it, but nothing but praise.
Yeah, people have been really praising Cobra Kai. And I grew up on the Karate Kid movies, this first one in particular, so I mean I should probably watch it at some point. But details of the project to be kept under wraps, but the story will be a two-handed, globe-spanning adventure featuring ancient sites and artifacts confronting the theories and questions raised by the popular docu-series. I mean,
it sounds fun.
Yeah, we can make fun of this, but ultimately, like, depending on the creative side of this could just end up being a really fun, silly movie.
Sure.
It doesn't matter where it came from, it's just a movie about aliens and artifacts.
Yeah.
That said, though, they have to have some sort of weird crazy guy with big crazy hair who is like, aliens.
Oh, I'm sure they will. They might even have the same guy. Or they'll have like someone like Woody Harrelson play him. It's just obviously the same person or something.
They have to put him in. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, dear. So, we got cast here for a film called Murder at Emigrant Gulch. What a weird title. So you got It Chapter 2 star Isaiah Mustafa, Golden Globe winner Gabriel Byrne, who I've seen in a bunch of things, and Golden Globe nominee Thomas Jane, who, you know, Punisher, The Expanse, bunch of stuff.
I know all three of those people.
Yeah. So set in 1882, the film will follow a former slave, played by Mustafa, who arrives in Emigrant Gulch, Montana, a desolate former boomtown now in the decline, looking for a place to call home. On the same day, a local prospector discovers gold and is murdered. The sheriff, played by Byrne, arrests the town newcomer, but as the mystery of the prospector's murder deepens, the town's earnest preacher, played by Jane, questions the accused man's guilt. A clash between faith and law threatens to tear the town apart.
Sounds interesting.
Sounds neat. Yeah, it's described here as a Western thriller.
Mm-hmm.
I got into that, and I think this cast are fairly solid.
Definitely.
I've liked them in various things. I mean, I didn't live at Chapter 2, but I didn't. You know, he was totally fine in the movie.
Yeah, isn't he also like the Old Spice commercial guy?
Do you know what? Now I'm looking at him. I think he might be.
Yeah.
You know, I never occurred to me, but you may be. Thomas J is someone who I love on The Expanse, and obviously I've seen him in a bunch of movies. I mean, the first time I ever saw Thomas J was probably in Deep Blue Sea of all things, which I do enjoy. I'm not ashamed to say I like that movie, because I do. But yeah, so there you go. That's Murder.
That's a sci-fi movie.
Emigrant Gulch. It kind of is, yeah. We could do that in Ace.
What do you mean, kind of? Super intelligent sharks, genetically modified.
Okay, yeah, it's a sci-fi movie. Okay, I admit. All right, Tara's right. Put up the sign.
Gabriel Byrne, he's been around for a long time. I mean, wasn't he in Hereditary? That's the last thing, I think.
Was he? Oh, I don't remember if he's in Hereditary.
Oh, he would have been the husband, if that's what I'm thinking of.
No.
If I'm thinking of the same actor.
He's one of those guys who's just been in tons of stuff. I always kind of felt bad for him, though, because he always had this kind of... like, he was just a slightly down a tier version of, like, Pacino. In some ways. He had that kind of similar looks. Which is unfair to him, but He always kind of give me that vibe.
I mean, I definitely know his name. I'm sure once I see him, I'll be like, oh, he's been in these 800 films.
Oh, tons of things. Yeah, he's a that guy for sure. He's a that guy. Yeah. So next up, Helen Mirren, which Deadline is just put in brackets the Queen. Yes, amongst other things, but yeah, she wasn't the Queen. She's going to. I mean, admittedly, it's somewhat relevant. She's going to play Israel's iconic and only female Prime Minister Golda Meir in a biopic called Golda. It focuses on the dramatic and high-stakes decisions that Meir, also known as the Iron Lady of Israel, faced during the Yom Kippur War, which followed Egypt, Syria, and Jordan's surprise attack on the Sinai Peninsula and the Golan Heights in 1973. That is a lot of things I know nothing about. But
yeah, 1973 wasn't even that long ago.
No, I blame the school system for this. I don't know anything about this.
Across 2 countries.
Yeah, across 2 countries. Yes. But hey, I mean, Helen Mirren, it's a vehicle for her to possibly win an Oscar. Let's be honest. That's what it sounds like to me.
I'll see it.
Yeah. I can't really argue there. Next up, Netflix has secured the rights to a Chinese film. They've acquired a fantasy drama called Super Me. The streamer's taking exclusive global rights outside of mainland China, former Yugoslavia and Indian regions. So this is from director Zhan Chong. It is a film originally premiered at the 2019 festival in China. So they're going to put it out to everywhere else. It's the director's second film after The Fourth Wall sees reality, dreams, desires, and fantasies combine with a rags-to-riches story. It centers on Sang Yu, who has always dreamt of becoming a successful screenwriter. He writes non-stop as he stresses out to finish the script he's been paid by his friend Sang-ji to complete. Played by nightmares of a demon who wants to kill him, Sang Yu tries to stay awake and becomes an insomniac. One day he discovers that he possesses a superpower, making his dreams a reality, which he uses to his own advantage. As his lifestyle improves, he encounters Kwang Ji, a ruthless gangster who uses Sang Yu as a tool to achieve his fortune. Along the way, Sang Yu is able to pursue Huai Er, who's been his crush since childhood and the love of his life. So, a lot going on there, but
that was a lot of description. Yeah,
that was a very in-depth description, but it boils down to someone realizes they've got a power to make dreams a reality, and then it's used by a gangster to nefarious means, I assume.
Isn't there a Twilight Zone episode we watched that was kind of like that? It's like a guy who had a briefcase who can give you whatever you need. Yeah. And a gangster tries to manipulate him.
I think there's like 5 Twilight Zone episodes we've watched that you could mash together and it would become this. I don't think it's like any one episode, but there's like 5 that if you put them together, it'd kind of become this. It's cool.
I mean, it sounds interesting enough. It should be a unique perspective anyway.
I'm always a fan of just foreign films getting more of a platform because they so often go ignored.
Yeah, I want to, honestly, like, I'm sort of burnt out on superheroes. They're like the new zombie genre for me. I'm just like, I don't really care, but like, if it's a unique perspective, then I'm happy to watch it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it doesn't sound like a superhero. It doesn't sound like he does any heroics.
No. Yeah, I think once Chronicle came out, I was just like, I'm over this whole, like, people have surprise ability.
That was 2008.
Yeah. That's about right.
Oh, dude, I was barely out of high school. So, next up, your cynicism is going to fly off the charts here. So, I've never heard of this, but I'm sure you're familiar with Peeps.
Oh, the candy?
The marshmallow?
Yeah.
Peeps marshmallow?
They're popular at Easter, which we just had here. So
as opposed to the UK where we didn't have Easter just at the same time. No.
Well, we had Peeps here.
Yeah, sure, yes. We had Cadbury's mini eggs. I never actually didn't get any this year. I'm annoyed now.
Okay.
Then again, they sell them all year round. I don't know why I care, but I should have gotten some.
All year round.
The mini eggs, yeah, the mini eggs get sold all year round. So only the big Easter eggs don't get sold all year round.
Oh.
Yeah. Special. Anyway, so the famed Easter candy Peeps has been turned into an animated feature film.
I mean, I'm not the demographic, so
No. Apparently,
unless they make it somehow a Lego movie, I'm not gonna care.
Wonder Street has acquired the film TV rights to the Marshmallow Candies. Why Marshmallow Candies have film and TV rights? I don't know. But the feature's billed as being in the spirit of Trolls meets Smurfs. It'll follow.
Oh boy!
It'll follow a ragtag group of Peeps characters who set out on a cross-country journey in order to attend Peeps Fest, an annual brand celebration in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
David
sounds like it's for children, and hopefully the parents will enjoy the going to the music festival aspect of it, the Coachella side. I don't know.
Apparently,
Peep Fest.
David Goldblum's going to write the film. I don't know if there's any relation to Jeff Goldblum. I hope not. I don't want Jeff to be sullied by being associated in any way, even tangentially, with Peeps.
I suspect not, but this does not interest me.
That's fair. We'll move on. Universal's picked up an untitled family adventure comedy spec script by screenwriting duo Alex Ankeles and Morgan Jurgensen. Based on an original idea by Siegel, the script's logline is under wraps, but it's being described as a 4-quadrant family adventure comedy and a love letter to pop culture and fandom. Oh, I'm getting Ready Player One like vibes from that. Well, or Space Jam. Did you see the Space Jam 2 trailer? It was something.
I did not. Could not care less about Space Jam 2.
That's fair. I made Connor watch it the last news episode because well, he had to. It was news. We'll move on. A24. They make good films often.
Sometimes.
A24. Not always. Slice was terrible, but A24 is lining up a killer cast for its new thriller. The Hate U Give star Amandla Stenberg and Borat 2 breakout Maria Bakalova.
I've seen both those movies. Okay.
I assume Maria's the daughter from Borat. I can't imagine who else should be from that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, she was good. She was
excellent.
They are going to star in a film called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Apparently Pete Davidson and Mahala Harold, I probably butchered that name, are in talks to star as well. Helena Rain is set to direct it. Plot details have been kept under wraps, but sources are describing it as a secret slasher film. So I'm interested. It's a slasher movie. I'm
happy for you.
I'm always on board. Okay. Well, Tara's happy for me. We can move on. So Emma Seligman? Yes, Seligman? Emma Seligman? I'll go with that. And Rachel Sennett, the creative team behind the well-reviewed Shiva Baby, have got their next project lined up. They're going to co-write a high school sex comedy called Bottoms for MGM's Orion Pictures. I love that Orion's a thing again. I get nostalgia every time I see that Orion logo. I love it. Bottoms will follow two unpopular queer girls who start a fight club to have sex before their high school graduate. Wait, a fight club? Like, I get...
There's a lot going on with that, yeah.
Did it just mean a secret club to have sex? Because I get it if that's all it's meaning, but if it's actually a fight club, then what the hell's that got to do with getting laid? I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't know.
I assume it just means they're starting a club that's about having sex before they finish school.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to like go for a Booksmart thing, but even more raunchy.
Yes, and I can see that.
And I didn't really like Booksmart.
that's I liked it to a point, and then it kind of lost me about halfway through.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the movie is making me think of. It might not be anything like Booksmart, but
yeah, the comedy might be completely different, but yeah, okay, so that's the thing. I've got a lot of these small stories, so I'm just quickly flying through them. Okay. Next up, Samuel Goldwyn Films has secured the rights to a sci-fi thriller called Rising Wolf. So I mean, it's sci-fi, so
Rising Wolf tells me nothing.
Yeah. Rising Wolf set in Shanghai and shot in Sydney. Okay. I wasn't really that fussed about
pretty far apart.
Shooting location. I mean, it seems to be mostly set in an elevator shaft, so I guess it doesn't really matter where you shoot it.
Okay.
He could just pretend it's forever. But it portrays a young environmentalist who wakes up to find herself trapped in kidnapped in an elevator of a super high-rise building and at the mercy of her tormentors.
Ooh.
Now, that sounds
Is
cool.
it like a...
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Speed.
Oh, pop quiz. Is it
if it's Dennis Hopper who's the one that's tormenting her? Pop quiz hotshot.
If they've somehow got the ghost of Dennis Hopper to come back and be the villain of this, it's a win. The only thing that I can't say is, like, I don't know why it's a sci-fi thriller yet. I assume it just goes in a sci-fi direction at a certain point. But even as a thriller, it sounds kind of fun. So
Sure.
it's coming out in July. July 16th is the US release date. I think it's just theaters though as of right now, which admittedly how successful a movie can be in July.
Well, I'll be vaccinated by then, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have all the drug companies, so we get the vaccines.
Yeah. Well, apparently the vaccine that I've got is the one that I am going to be getting is the one that's just been linked with a very, very small chance, but you may get a blood clot. So that fills me with joy.
Be careful.
Be careful.
I don't know how you can avoid blood clots. Maybe like walk around. Go on extra long walks for a while.
I go on walks.
Avoid sitting for long periods of time.
I guess yes. Thank you for that wonderful medical advice.
We should take breaks every like 10 to 15 minutes and just stand up and walk around and come back and record.
That's Rising Wolf. I'll get a wireless mic, okay, so I can just walk around the room while I'm hosting, shall I?
That'd be fun.
That'll be fun. All right, Sam Mendes. We like Sam Mendes. He did 1917, which was my favorite film of 2019. And it was yours too, so we're united on that front. So he is writing a script for a film that he's going to direct, and he's teaming with Olivia Colman, who's going to star in it.
Great actress.
Yeah. She's been very good in a number of different things. She'll always be the character in Hot Fuzz to me, and admittedly the channel's called Male Fuzz, so maybe that's not a surprise. But I think I saw her in that, and then obviously since then I've seen her in like super serious dramatic roles where she's like the lead and she's like, knocking it out of the park. But
yeah, I just watched Fleabag, and that was really great, and she was really, really funny. She was the perfect actress for that type of role. She just did that whole passive aggressive thing so well.
Yeah. So, pardon me. This is called Empire of Light. He co-wrote the script. He's directing, as I said. Coleman's going to star in it. And perhaps equally important is that Roger Deakins, who was a cinematographer on 1917, is coming back to do this, which, Oh, sorry. Yes, he's coming back to this. And they're looking at fall 2022 as the release. Details will be kept.
I'll be there.
Be kept a little bit wrapped up, but they do know it's set in and around a beautiful old cinema on the south coast of England in the 1980s. Look.
Well, with Deacon, it's definitely going to be beautiful.
Yeah. I'll just say this. When you attach sentiment around a movie theater, I tend to be into that. It tends to work for me for whatever reason. So
this is going to be the Majestic for you?
I've never seen that. I probably should. But as a proper film snob, I'm going to hit you back with Cinema Paradiso as the film that comes to mind.
I've seen that movie.
Oh, so good. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
For those of you who have not seen it, go check out the director's cut of Cinema Paradiso. I mean, the theatrical cut's still really good, but the director's cut is just mwah. One of my favourite endings in movie history. But anyway, so this is cool. This is good director, good performer, good cinematographer. There's nothing to not be excited about with this.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is called Empire of Light, just to reiterate that title.
Fall 2022, mark your calendars.
Yep. Next up, Shout Studios has picked up the North American rights to Natalie Morales' drama Language Lessons, which also stars and is written by Mark Duplass, which I like Mark Duplass. I like Creep and Creep 2. I've enjoyed him in a few other things. He was in a TV show on HBO, an anthology show called Room 104, which was pretty solid. It was very up and down because it was like different stories every episode, but it was...
I saw the trailers for that. I didn't watch it. I did see the first Creep, though. That was pretty good.
Yeah. So the film follows Adam, played by Duplass, whose husband surprises him with a gift of a year's worth of weekly Spanish lessons. But when tragedy strikes, his teacher Carino, who's Morales' character, sorry, wait, what? Oh no, Morales is directing. Oh, she's also starring. Sorry, yes, I'm I'm getting confused here because she's doing both. That's fine. So yes, so his Spanish teacher becomes a lifeline he didn't know he needed, and the two develop an unexpected and complicated emotional bond. So presumably his husband snuffs it, and he's then left in this post-Spanish lessons world. So, sure.
Sure.
The photo that Hollywood Reporter decided to use of Mark Duplass in this is inspired. They didn't go for a normal photo. They thought, no, we'll get one of them making a really goofy face, so that it'll stick out. They've got this, the director star. She's got, beautiful photo, very attractive, and then Mark Duplass is going like this with his face. He's got his eyes and he's, yeah. Contrast.
Way to go. Double standards.
It's contrast, yes. And I can already see the comment saying that this podcast looks exactly like that. But how dare you? No one's saying mean things about Tara. That's not nice. Okay, moving on. Come on, that was a good joke. That was a good joke. That was a good joke. I swerved it. All right. Moving on. Ashley Benson, who apparently was in Pretty Little Liars, I will take Deadline's word for it, is going to produce a star a bit after your time, I suspect. Pretty Little Liars. Yeah? No? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I remember seeing the posters for the show, but I never watched it.
So she's
I'm not a TV person also.
That's fair, yes. Well, it's not movie news. This is where she's from. She's going to produce and star in 18 and Over, a pandemic-inspired slasher movie. Oh, hello. There's that word again, slasher. That she co-created with Jimmy Giannopoulos. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And Diomedes Rual Bermudez. Hit me with the difficult names here. So, also starred in the film are John Foster, Jake Weary, Sky Ferreira, Louis Guzman, Winnie Harlow,
Guzman. All right.
G-Eazy, Duke Nicholson, ASAP. Okay.
I think it's a rapper.
I'm not surprised. Paris Hilton and Pamela Anderson. Okay. All right. What a weird cast. So, Giannopoulos directed the indie horror film from a screenplay he co-wrote with Bermudez. Plot details are, I guess maybe scarce. It just says scare. Maybe they'll try to go for a pun. Plot details are scare. Other than it takes place within quarantine and leads to a night of terror.
Well, I mean, I really enjoyed The Host, which was a quarantine horror film where people were getting slashed, but like, I don't know. I guess I can't help but like roll my eyes a little bit when I hear a pandemic quarantine inspired movie. I don't know what it is. Like,
here's the thing. This could potentially be a really I do think there's scope for some horror movies to be set in the quarantine era and for that to be effective, at least for a few movies. I
mean, yeah, it's such a big part of our lives that there's no way there's not going to be movies about it.
The question I have though, are we going to be sick after maybe a year or two of tons of movies set during quarantine?
I don't know.
Because obviously Host
we don't have them yet, but I'm expecting a flood. Yeah,
because Host, of course, like got done really quickly and came out only a few months into it, right? But all the regular Hollywood like cycle, like we're only just going to start getting them like maybe later this year, maybe next year more likely. So are we? When we hit like 2023, are we just going to be like, oh my god, every horror movie's like set during the quarantine, or everyone's scared about being trapped in a house, and it's still going to be this same
maybe
thing.
Because we're still in it, so, and it's been going on a lot longer than anyone expected, that we're just like, okay, I just want to go back to movies about, I don't know, wizards and vampires and stuff without any quarantine. But yeah, I mean, there's no escaping it. This is a huge part of our history, and there'll be movies forever about it.
So I would like to point out that I will never ask to go back to wizards ever.
I don't know. It's the first thing that popped in my head.
Just putting that out there. All right, next up. So, rising actors Jorge Landenberg Jr. and Tosin Cole are in negotiations for New Line's new reboot of 1990 cult comedy House Party. Are you familiar with House Party?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. I might have heard of it, but very vaguely. So Spring Hill's LeBron James and Maverick Carter are going to produce it. The beloved original, I'll take your word for it, Deadline, follows a high schooler sneaking out to his buddy's house party and what turns out to be a wild night of antics, music, and plenty of fun. The film was a surprise box office hit in 1990. And apparently is credited as helping catapult hip-hop into the mainstream, so maybe it was big in that scene in particular.
Right, I think that's why I'm familiar with it.
I was like 1 though, so wasn't quite in the right age range for
I definitely watched it later.
yes. So then we're out of the movie news. We only get 3 TV stories, so we're almost done. You're almost set free. So bear with me. Cancellation here. MacGyver. The MacGyver reboot is ending with its 5th season. It will not have a season 6. The finale is hitting on the 30th of April, and that's going to be its last episode. And this just feels a little triumphant because, believe it or not, we've been doing this channel long enough that me and Connor reviewed the pilot of this, and it was one of the worst pilots we had ever seen. It was the most generic of... It was a sort of thing where this should be a parody, this should be a satire of what TV can be, but it was playing it completely straight, and it was terrible. So... I
think I vaguely remember seeing the MacGyver title on the CBS All Access app.
Yes.
Yeah,
but stay away from it. Just pass on by. So that's that. Amazon has set its cast for the Peripheral. Peripheral, if I say it properly. It's an upcoming series coming, and this is notable, from Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy's Killer Films. Of course, they do Westworld. They did Person of Interest. So the cast is Charlotte Riley, J.J. Field, Adelind Horan from The Deuce, Tinia Miller from The Haunting of Bly Manor. I probably butchered that name. Apologies. Alex Hernandez from Bloodshot. Oh, jeez, they struck gold with this guy. So, this is based on a book. It centers on Flynn and her brother Burton. In the novel, Burton, a veteran of the United States Marine Corps Elite Haptic Recon Force, is hired for a security job which takes place in what he thinks is cyberspace. When Flynn temporarily takes his place, she witnesses something that might have been murder. So it's a bit of sci-fi. We got cyberspace. We got, I think it's
TV show.
TV show, yeah, it's a TV show. It's an Amazon Prime.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Show. Okay, but you could say that for every TV show we bring up. So, do you have any other thoughts that you would like to share?
I mean, it sounds kind of Bloodshot adjacent. Marine veteran.
It has to be better than Bloodshot.
Being recruited.
It can't be worse than Bloodshot.
A man who can't escape war.
Very few things.
Home with him.
Very few things are worse than Bloodshot.
Bloodshot wasn't awful. It was just not very good.
All right. So last up, then, one last TV story. A24. There's that company again. And Rhombus Media have optioned the rights to Viet Tan Wins. Just get my head around that name. His book, The Sympathizer. And are developing the author's Pulitzer Prize-winning debut novel for a TV show. Published in April 2015, The Sympathizer centers on a half-French, half-Vietnamese man who served as a spy for communist forces during the Vietnam War. The novel follows the unnamed protagonist as he experiences the final days of the historical war, lives in exile in Los Angeles, and continues to move throughout Southeast Asia. So, no network attached to that yet, so this is something that some of the production companies are developing right now. You can definitely see this on a cable or streaming service, though, whenever they're ready to shop it around.
Sounds interesting. Plus, it sounds like it's got some sort of credibility with a book being first.
Sure. Although you would be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised at just how many projects that are going to TV now that all come from books, because no one can just have an idea anymore.
I mean, yeah, it's either that or we get reboots and sequels to things from 30 years ago.
I don't mind book adaptations. It's a source of new stuff, really. I'll take it over infinite reboots and sequels and prequels any day.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting perspective on something, if nothing else. So.
Yep, I agree.
So there you go. That is the news. That is the news for Thursday. A lot of little stories to get through, but
no wrestling or video game news this week.
No. I I don't know if people were liking the video game news, so I've stopped looking for it. That when there was a new game revealed today, a horror game that's going to be a PS5 game later in the year that looked very pretty, from the quick glimpses they showed, but that really revealed a lot of it yet. So, not a whole lot to go into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nobody can buy a system anyway, so probably no need to read the news about it.
That's somewhat fair. Somewhat fair. But yeah, that is the news. So let us know what you thought of the stories in the comments. Please do like and subscribe. That is the free way to support everything we do. You can help us out with the YouTube algorithm by simply hitting a button. And I'm going to be nice to Tara because this was a longer episode and she's been a trooper. So I will do the Patreon plug. So Yay. If you want to support everything we do, you can head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and support us for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your troubles. So thank you very much. You can help keep all the content coming. Otherwise, catch us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. And of course, that's about it. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.